Let's dive into Justin Fields here. Week 3, starting quarterback, Russell Wilson. Chances are he's not going to play. I have a hard time believing that you're limited 2 days, 3 days this week and questionable. And then Mike Tomlin says, there you go, pal. It's all yours. So the big question, we've answered this question 3 times now, but you got to be getting close. You have to be getting close to this is the week that it becomes Justin Fields' opportunity to make this his starting job for the remainder of the season. And I listened to Louis Riddick today on the Rich Eisen show talk about how this is Justin Fields' job, and it's ridiculous to go back to Russell Wilson where they stand right here. I listened to Albert Breer, Sports Illustrated's Albert Breer, who talked about, look, like the Steelers love Justin Fields and have loved him since the second he got here. And the fact that he's doing these things, even if he's not scoring a boatload of touchdowns, is showing maybe he's a Steeler and maybe he deserves to stay the Steelers quarterback. So I'll ask you, I got thoughts. Is this the week? This is the week Justin's got the opportunity to do what he can do to earn this job long-term. And if that's the case, what's he have to do?
I think to answer the first part of the question, is this the week? The thing that I'm going to say is it's not the week yet, but I think this is an important week, right? If he goes out there and does what I'm about to say, and then there's the second half of this, which is what does Russell Wilson look like next week? And if Russell Wilson looks the same, which for all intents and purposes, there is nothing that has been reported or said that leads me to believe that anything is changing with that scenario, then next week will be the week in my eyes. That week 4 against the Colts, if you can do it for a quarter of a season, it is your job. And by it, I mean this weekend, he needs to simply 3 things: win the football game, which he's been doing so far, protect the football, which is what he has been doing so far, and I need to see him get into the end zone a couple of times. Once or twice, get into the end zone, lead long drives. If he has one of these splash plays, that's great. We've seen him have the ability to make these splash plays, but finish, execute, get into the end zone. If he can do those 3 things, I'm looking at next week as hey, this is the last straw. I think that if you can build it through a quarter of the season and continue to do what you're doing, now, of course, if he goes out and throws for 300 yards and 4 touchdowns, then it kind of breaks the mold here. But based on expectations, get in the end zone a couple times, protect the football and win the game. And then all the pressure is on Russ to get back on the field, because if he's not on the field, then I think by the time he steps on the field in Indianapolis, it's Justin's job.
Do you think that if Justin Herbert does not play and the Pittsburgh Steelers feel pretty safe about where they sit, they open this up and let Justin see what Justin could do?
No, it's Mike Tomlin.
You don't think in some sick, twisted way, Mike Tomlin would be like, yeah, all right, this is the one. We're going to see what happens, and just let him launch it a couple of times?
I mean, he hasn't done that for 18 seasons? As much as I'd like to say yes, it's Mike Tomlin, and the standard is the standard, and we know what he's going to do. And we'll get to our score predictions, but I think Tomlin's going to rather try to win the game the Tomlin way than just saying, well, since Herbert's out, the backup quarterback situation has not always been something that Steelers fans are like, oh no, because they're going to play down to it anyway. So I don't think he opens it up simply because Easton Stick or Taylor Heineke is behind center for the Chargers.
Oh, is Taylor Heineke in LA?
Taylor Heineke was traded there a couple of weeks ago. And actually today there was a report that said Harbaugh was saying that, Heineke has grasped the offense and he's come along really quickly. So I wouldn't rule out Heineke either to be behind center for the Chargers.
It's football season, and we've teamed up with DraftKings. Right now, you can get involved in even more action with DraftKings Pick6, a brand new way to play daily fantasy sports. And the best part, all new customers who play $5 will get $50 in Pick6 credits. All you have to do is download the DraftKings Pick6 app now, sign up with our code ALLSTEELERS, and get kicking. Only on DraftKings Pick6, the crown is yours. Getting started is simple. Just download the DraftKings Pick6 app and sign up with our code ALLSTEELERS. From there, just pick at least 2 players and choose if they'll have more or less of a stat. Lock them in and compete against others for a shot at a huge cash prize. Download the DraftKings Pick6 app now and sign up with our code ALLSTEELERS only on DraftKings Pick6. The crown is yours. I will say Harbaugh said earlier in the week that Easton Stick would be the starter, but I agree with you.
That's fine too. I mean,
it wouldn't. I mean, I'd rather Heineke. Heineke's a great quarterback in my eyes, great backup quarterback. But The Steelers side of things, you want Easton Stick. Man, I don't know. You make sense. I can't argue against that argument. That argument, it covers all the ground, and that is the logical side of thinking when in this conversation. There's something in the gut that says Mike Tomlin's just sick guy, twisted in the head sometimes, does things that no one could explain almost all the time. And if he just went out there, Acrisure Stadium, home opener, Jim Harbaugh's on the other side, and just started saying, Justin, you want to score 60? Let's see if we can score 60. And just tried to do it, and just tried to do it and just saw what he could do. And I don't know. There's just something in it that we're hitting the point, okay, where we are getting to that game. I don't know if it's this week, but we are getting close to that game. You can't push this out forever if you're the Steelers. Like, you can't go into week 7, week 8 and be like, I don't know, man. If Russ comes back, we might still make quarterback change. We're 8-0, but you never know. At some point, we're getting dangerously close to that line. And Mike Tomlin knows that we're getting dangerously close to that line. And I could just envision, again, it doesn't make any sense. There's no argument here that I could sit down and logically make, but there's just something in my brain that says I could picture going there on Tuesday for Mike to say, yep, Justin's done enough. He's our, what we saw on Sunday, he's our quarterback. We're going to move forward. Justin's going to be the guy. He'll say it in Tomlin ways where it's like not really answering the question, but he sprinkles in the yes in there somewhere. But again, I can't argue it, but there's just something in there. On my side of things, what Justin really has to do to end this, to quiet this, to continue this momentum is, just like you said, he can't turn the ball over. I'm talking turnover free. The moment he throws an interception is the moment we start to have the, okay, well, now you got to look good. Now it's no longer well, you haven't looked bad. Justin's looked like he's got a lot of promise. The second you turn the ball over, it's you got to look good now. That's over. You wasted the no turnover situation. Can't turn the ball over. The Steelers offense has to look good against a very good defense. So you have to remember that it's going to be a very good defense. The Chargers are no weak link in their defense. And you gotta win the game, and it's got to be another convincing win. I think 13-6 was a convincing win. The numbers don't say it was a convincing win, but nobody watched that game and thought the Broncos were going to win. At no point did you think that. Atlanta, no point did you think Atlanta was going to win that football game. Do it again with the Chargers. At no point have anybody worry about whether or not the Steelers are going to lose this. It just gives you the confidence. And I don't know if it cracks week 4, but I do think it brings up, I think it brings up the finish line. I think you do that this week, next week's the finish line, and we have a real conversation about whether or not Justin's the guy, as long as he goes to Indy and wins a football game and doesn't look terrible. It's 2 more here. Justin's got to do 2 more good games, and if he could do 2 more good games and the Steelers are 4-0, sorry, Russ, but it was great to know you. It was a lot of fun. You're not going to start a football game for the Pittsburgh Steelers unless something happens in week whatever with Justin Fields. But I agree with you. It's tough to say, but there's just something in my brain, man. There's something in my brain.